Bengkulu is a province in the southwest of Sumatra Island. Nature, culture, and history become one, and it known as Bumi Rafflesia. Politeknik Kesehatan Kementerian Kesehatan Bengkulu was established on April 16, 2000.
Datang di Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Jurusan Kesehatan Lingkungan Politeknik Kementerian Kesehatan Bengkulu hadir untuk menjawab tantangan kebutuhan masyarakat terhadap bidang ahli kesehatan lingkungan yang saat ini terus berkembang. Hal ini menjadi tantangan tersendiri bagi jurusan kesehatan lingkungan untuk menghasilkan tenaga sanitarian yang mandiri, kompetitif, dan unggul dalam pemantauan dan pengelolaan limbah cair industri tingkat nasional. Berdiri pada tahun 2009, yang merupakan satu dari 5 jurusan yang ada di Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, jurusan Kesehatan Lingkungan memiliki misi menyelenggarakan pembelajaran yang bermutu melalui sistem pendidikan terpadu sesuai dengan standar mutu. Menyelenggarakan penelitian kesehatan lingkungan yang inovatif dengan memanfaatkan kearifan lokal. Menyelenggarakan pengabdian kepada masyarakat melalui kerjasama kemitraan yang berdampak pada kesehatan. Meningkatkan kuantitas dan kualitas sumber daya manusia untuk mencapai kemandirian dan keunggulan lulusan. Serta menjalin kerjasama dan kemitraan lintas program atau lintas sektor untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang kompetitif. Proses pembelajaran di bidang hard skill dicapai melalui konsep learning by doing yang berisikan 40% materi dan 60% teori, menjadikan lulusan yang terampil dan kreatif sehingga mampu bersaing di dunia kerja. Pembekalan di bidang soft skill melalui latihan kepemimpinan dasar, kepramukaan, serta kema bakti sosial untuk memperoleh karakter yang jujur, kreatif, kerjasama tim, dan kecerdasan mengambil keputusan. Jumlah tenaga pendidik dan kependidikan di jurusan Kesehatan Lingkungan terdiri dari 14 tenaga pengajar yang memiliki keterampilan yang sesuai dengan kompetensi yang dibutuhkan lulusan. Untuk mendukung proses belajar mengajar di bidang kesehatan lingkungan, disediakan beberapa laboratorium, di antaranya adalah lab mikrobiologi, lab kimia, lab pengendalian vektor, dan parasitologi. Bengkel kerja,
Ladies and gentlemen, our international seminar will begin very soon. So the committee really appreciate if all the participants can mute or turn off the microphone. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the committee already sent the virtual background on chat box. So we really appreciate if you can change your virtual background with the same background that already sent by the committee. Thank you. Welcome to international seminar held by Environmental Health of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Ladies and gentlemen, this event will begin at 8:15. So we really appreciate if you can turn off or mute the microphone during this event. Thank you.
Weight of the world on your shoulders. I guess you're wasting ease of mine. I must be favored to know, yeah.
Welcome to a Zoom meeting, the Director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, this is Andiana SK MPH. This international seminar will begin at 8:15, ma'am. So we really appreciate it. We really appreciate that you can wait for us. Thank you.
I take my hand and pray tonight. It's the way that we could ride. It's the way that we could ride. We got meant to win another life, so break me up another time. You wrap around me and you give me life, and that's why night after night I'll be loving you right. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 days a week. Every hour, every minute, every second, you know, night after night I'll be loving you for 7 days. pull up when I jump right in. All of me, I'm on foreign. Show you what devotion is. Deeper than the ocean waves. Wind it back, I'll take it slow. Leave you with that afterglow. Show you what devotion is. Deeper than the ocean waves. It's the way that we can ride. It's the way that we can ride. Think I'm meant to win another life, so break me up another time. You're up around me and you give me life, and that's why night after night I'll be loving you right. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 days a week. Every hour, every minute, every second, you know night after night I'll be loving you right. 7 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 days a week. Every hour, every minute, every second, you know night after night I'll be loving you right. 7 days a week.
Tight to take control, tight to take your soul. Take your phone and put it in the camera roll. Leave them clothes at the door. What you ain't for? Better come and hit your goal. He jumping in both feet. Going to the sun up, we ain't getting no sleep. 7 days a week, 7 different sheets, 7 different angles. I could be your fantasy. Open up, say ah. Come here, baby, let me swallow your pride. What you want, I can match your vibe. Hit me up and I'ma cha-cha slide. You make Mondays feel like weekends. I make him never think about cheating. Got you skipping work and meetings. Let's sleep in, yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 days a week. Every hour, every minute, every second, you know night after night I'll be loving you for 7 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 days a week. Every hour, every minute, every second, you know night after night I'll be loving you for 7 days a week.
Bengkulu is a province in the southwest of Sumatra Island. Nature, culture, and history become one, and it known as Bumi Rafflesia. Politeknik Kesehatan Kementerian Kesehatan Bengkulu was established on April 16, 2001. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is ready to be an excellent health college that provides professional health workers and lead to global in 2025. Our alumni have worked domestic and abroad that spread in Japan for 63 people, Taiwan 20 people, Saudi Arabia 2 people, and Germany 1 person. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is one of the excellent state health colleges in Bengkulu province. The main campus is addressed at Jalan Indragiri, number 3, Padang Harapan, Kota Bengkulu. Meanwhile, Campus B Curug is addressed at Jalan Sapta Marga, number 95, Teladan Village, Rejang Lebong, Regency. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is equipped with the complete and modern campus facilities to support the learning process, including the training center building has more than 2,000 meter square areas with a hall that provides 500 seats and a comfortable inn. Auditorium has more than 3,000 meter square areas that provides 1,500 people that used as a multi-purpose building for both internal and external activities of Poltek lecture buildings. Integrated laboratory consists of laboratory department of nursing, midwife, nutrition, health analyst with adequate campus equipment. Campus gazebo with 128 meter square areas used for student discussion place. Tarbiyati Sihab Mosque has 457 meter square areas for 500 people with an open room design. Port facilities. Unit of language development with internet connection and 44 computers unit for computer-based tests and online TOEFL tests. A comfortable library, the selfie corner and Selayang anti-korupsi corner. Unit of Information Technology that provides computer-based tests with 145 computers unit. Home theater that is used for audiovisual learning activities to all departments. Currently, Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu has been accredited by Ban PT with predicate B, and it has 6 majors and 14 study programs that are already accredited by LAM PTKes.
Percayakan pendidikan putra putri Anda untuk menjadi tenaga kesehatan profesional bersama Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu
Siap, kamu.
berkualitas Polkeslu
Manusia.
To the rest participants, our international seminar will begin 5 minutes again. So please mute the microphone during this event. Thank you. One. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all of you here in this virtual Zoom meeting. Your Excellency, Director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, respectable Vice Director 1, 2, and 3, the Honorable Head of Academic and General Administrations, the Honorable Head of Measures of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, the distinguished speakers after the international seminar, Professor Deden Rukmana PhD, Dr. Sharifah Nur Hadijah Syed Ismail, Mr. Febi Dwi Rahmadi PhD, and Mr. Agus Widada SKM MKers, all academicians of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, and all beloved participants of today's international seminar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, let us say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who gave us mercy and blessing for us so we can attend this international seminar held by Environmental Health Department of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu that collaborating with WIPK of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu under the theme Sustainable Industrial Waste Management towards environmental friendly products. And also salawat and salam, don't forget to deliver to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Hopefully we will get his shafaat at Yaumul Akhir. Amin, amin ya rabbal alamin. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Suci Sartika Putri, will be your master of ceremony today. We'll mention the sequences of this event. First, opening, and then praying, then hearing the national anthem, opening speech by the Director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, and the main event presentations. So without further ado, let us to begin this event. Let's say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The next agenda is praying. In this occasion, this praying will be led by me. I will give you directions to pray. So pray, begin. Finished. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is hearing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is opening speech by the Director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. And also on this occasion, we really hope Mrs. Eliana will open this event officially. To Mrs. Eliana SKM MPH, please.
Thank you, Miss Suci. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all of us here in this virtual Zoom meeting.
The distinguished speaker, Prof. Deden Rukmana, PhD from Alabama University, United States. Dr. Pebi Dwi Rahmadi from Griffith University, Australia. Dr. Saripa Nurhadijah Syed Ismail from University Putra, Malaysia. And Agus Widada, SKM MKes from Poltekkes Kemenkes, Bengkulu. The respectable Vice Director 1, 2, and 3, Head of Academic and Head of General Administration, the Honorable Head of Educational Center, Head of Quality Assurance Center, and Head of Research and Community Service Center. All Head of Mayor, Academician, and all participants of the seminar. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin, thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who gives mercy and blessing to attend the international seminar of sanitation department virtually in good condition. Salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who brought us from the darkness into the brightness era. Hopefully we can his syafaat at yaumil akhir. Amin, amin, amin ya rabbal alamin. The distinguished speaker and all participants, firstly, we would like to say thank our speaker who came from United States, Australia, Malaysia, and Indonesia, and all participants from neighborhood countries who are willing to attend our invitation. This international seminar at the time sustainable industrial waste management toward environmental friendly product is expected to be from for the exchange and improvement of knowledge from student, examination, practitioner, and health personnel in industrial waste management. Hopefully, this activity will be success and private extraordinary benefits for all seminar participants and the academician of the Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu as well. By saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the international seminar under the time Sustainable Industrial Waste Management towards environmentally friendly product Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu is open official. Thank you for the attention. Bila taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, ma'am, for opening this event officially. So, ladies and gentlemen, the committee will take a screenshot for all participants who come in this virtual Zoom meeting. So I really appreciate if you all can open the virtual window because the committee will take a screenshot. Committee ready? Okay, wait. We have 17 slides here. The first slide, smile. Second slide, smile. Third slide. Okay, the next slide. The next slide. The next slide. 7th slide. The next slide. Don't forget to smile, ladies and gentlemen. The 9th slide. 10th slide. The 11th slide. The next slide. The next slide. The next slide. The next slide. Okay, the last slide, smile. Thank you so much, participants and our dearest committee. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the next is fulfilling the pretest. The committee will send pretest link on the chat box. Committee ready? Please send the pretest link on the chat box, committee. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you open the chat box, the committee already sent the link for pretest. As the committee, we will give you 3 minutes to answer the questions, to answer the quizzes of the task. So your 3 minutes starts from now. If you have any problems for answering the questions, the task, just ask the committee on the chat box. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will give you 1 minute additional time for answering the test. Well, the time for answering the pretest is done. The time for doing the pretest is done. Now we are going to our main event, which is presentation time. At this section will be divided into 3 sections. The first section will be Mr. Febi Dwi Rahmadi, PhD, with the topic Sustainability, Leadership, and Waste Management. What and why should be done differently? And the second sections will be Professor Deden Rukmana with the topic New Urban Agenda, the Guidance for Sustainable Industrial Waste Management in the next decades. And the last sections will be Dr. Sharifah Nur Hadijah Syed Ismail with the topic symbiotic relationship between waste management and product development signifies toward a more ecologically conscious industrial landscape. And the last speaker will be Mr. Agus Widodo, SKMMKes, with the topic medical waste management in healthcare facilities. In this main event, this presentation sections will be led by our gorgeous moderator, Ma'am Adesiska Villia. She took her Bachelor of Education at Universitas Bengkulu and graduated on 2009 and continue her study with Master of Arts in Applied Linguistics at Auckland University, New Zealand and graduated on 2021. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome our moderator today, Ma'am Adesiska Villia. The screen is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Suci. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Director of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, the respectables all vice directors and all officers and lecturers, and also our participants today in today's seminar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here, Adesiska Villia, is your moderator today. I'm very glad to see you this morning. Today's seminar is about sustainable industrial waste management towards environmentally friendly products. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker today is Mr. Feby Dwi Rahmadi SKM MSc in Public Health PhD. He is a lecturer in Global Health School of Medicine. He got so many career histories here. He currently act as a co-leader in Australia or South Asia, Mongolia, short course on integrating disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation to reduce regional vulnerabilities. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Feby graduated from Universitas Indonesia in 2004, and then he continued his study to Griffith University of Australia and taking a Master of Sciences in Public Health. In the same university, he took PhD in the School of Environment, also in Griffith University of Australia. And I believe that Mr. Feby is very expert in his field. Well, let's say hi to our speaker today. Hello, Mr. Feby. Are you already with us today?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good day. Have you had a cup of tea today, this morning?
Yes. I just. It's almost lunch now in Brisbane.
Yeah, I know. It's 3 hours. I think it's already 11.
Yeah, we are
20, right? Yes. Okay, Mr. Feby, are you ready to give us your material today? Yes. Okay. Thank you. The screen is yours.
How long do I have to present? What is the duration of the presentation? Sorry. How long I can present? 30 minutes? Can you hear me, Mbak Ade?
You will present about 20 minutes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me share my screen. Okay. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this very important conference. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this important discussions. And I'm also very glad to see there are a lot of people coming to this conference, which is reflecting that a lot of people in Indonesia would like to learn more about industrial waste management, especially how we can do it sustainably, how we can make it more sustainable and friendly for our planet. So today I'll be talking about sustainability leadership and industrial waste management. So why I pick this topic, because it is important for us to understand the fundamental aspect of leadership in this context. And what does it mean by industrial waste management, which I believe a lot of people in this conference has already got a lot of knowledge about this topic. But I just would like to share some knowledge that I have and also some examples that we do here in Brisbane or at Griffith University. And basically, I also would like to cover what and why should be done differently, because it is important to know that for us to be resilient, it is important for us to know what needs to be done differently, what can we learn from our mistake, and how we can move forward. Okay, so that's actually something that we need to be really consider, especially in the context of waste management. All right. So I would like to welcome everybody to this Anthropocene era. So I believe everybody have already heard about this situation where we are already in the Anthropocene epoch. So Anthropocene epoch is an unofficial unit of geological time used to describe the most recent period in Earth history when human activities started to have a very significant impact on the planet's climate and ecosystems. There has been a lot of debate about when this Anthropocene era is actually started. A group of scientists, they believe that Anthropocene epoch should follow the Holocene era, which is a previous era before Anthropocene era. So that was actually about 5,000 years ago. However, some scientists believe that Anthropocene era began in the year of 1950. Okay, and so basically in this era, human dominates the world. So all of us who attend this conference, we are the dominant factors of our beloved Earth. Okay, so what is the sign? What is the indicator of Anthropocene era? So first of all, of course, we can see pollutions everywhere. Okay, so air pollutions, soil pollutions, water pollutions. Australia, considered as as one of the cleanest air quality in the world. So we are ranked number 9th out of 177 country in the world, which I have heard a lot of news about the situation in Jakarta, maybe not so much in Bengkulu, but in Jakarta, we have a lot of problem in relation to air pollutions. So pollution is one of the indicator of Anthropocene era. You can see plastic waste everywhere, right? So even though you go to the highest mountain in the world, okay, you will see plastic waste. So this is the indicator of that human has already explored that area. We also experiencing global warming, okay, genetic modifications, ocean acidifications, what else? Overfishing, okay, deforestations, acid rain, okay, like my mom just called me yesterday. Jakarta people really want rain because rain hopefully can reduce air pollutions. Ozone depletion is also one of the indicator of Anthropocene era. So during this Anthropocene era, we are so much focused on human. So this is what we call by human-centric perspective. So human-centric perspective has forced us to establish industries, because this is something that we'll be talking about, industrial waste. So human established industries that aim to produce human needs. So industry are there because we need to produce something. We need shelter, we need clothing, we need jacket, we need food, we need transportations, right? So basically everything that we need, we have to produce them, all right? So most of climate scientists have come to agreement that the cause of climate change is the increased emissions of greenhouse gases, which is very much in relation to human activities, especially carbon dioxide, which have increased rapidly since the industrial revolutions. Okay, and like for instance, now we have car productions. Okay, now even people are thinking about, like President Jokowi mentioned in his speech, that later on in our new national capital, everybody need to drive an electric car. Okay, so still, we have to concern about a large scale of lithium mining, which is very important to produce the battery of the electric car. Okay, because that could also create an environmental damage as well from that perspective, right? So, well, car productions, of course, they require rubber, which is also from natural resources, and that could also lead to industrial waste as well. So modern economic growth and demand for goods require rapid productions because we have more populations. Every day we have more populations, right? Although the fertility rate globally decreasing, however, number of population is still increasing. They project by 2050, populations in the world will be about 10 billion people. So you can imagine the productions have to be more rapid, right? So in terms of food, in terms of clothing, in terms of everything. So global capitalisms and economic expansions are driving forces for both income inequality, so the rich become richer, the poor become poorer, and also, of course, environmental degradations and climate change. So it's so sad. And even some people mention that capitalism is actually a self-destruction. So that's actually another discussion, right? So we are now in the era of capitalism. Capital is important, right? Money is everything, right? So hopefully that is not the case for all of us here in this conference. However, that is the case. People always thinking about money. Okay, so that is a capitalism, and that is actually a self-destruction system. People will be destroyed by that. So we can see that this is also, this is from Bell 2004. So it's been a while. This is what we call by a perpetual treadmill of production and consumption. So never ending. Okay, people demand something and then industry produce something. The more demand, the more productions. Okay, so always like that. Okay, accelerations, because industry need money and people need product. Okay, we need food, we need energy, we need equipment for us to survive. So they keep produce product because they can earn so much money. They don't really care too much about what will be the negative impact of these productions. So the endless efforts of private owners, especially to expand and increase their profit, force a perpetual treadmill, relying mainly on fossil fuels or alternative sources of greenhouse gases emissions. Okay, so because for industry to run, they need fossil fuels. Okay, and of course they can also choose a more sustainable energy. However, it is something that we need to look at whether it is something that they really implement. The extractions and processing of materials, fuel and food contribute half of the total global greenhouse gases. Okay, so you can imagine, like, because we all need food in this conference. People who attend this conference, we all need food. Although maybe some of you are fasting, you still need food, right? So it is important to think about how can we feed 10 billion people in 2050 without destroying our environment. Okay, without using fertilizer, without using chemical that might destroy our environment, without food waste, because some food become waste. They even that human hasn't touched the food at all, and that become just waste. You can imagine that is actually a waste of energy. So almost everything we do releases emissions, but energy use, industry, transport, building, and agriculture are the main causes of the release of greenhouse gases. All right, so this is the very important for us to understand that before we talk about industrial waste management, that from the start, why we produce something, that is something that we need to think about. Do we really need to produce something? All right, so another background that I would like to share with you all, that the industrial waste, well, everybody, of course, aware that what does it mean by industrial waste? So industrial waste is a product as it is something that as a result of industrial processes, manufacturing, or commercial activities. So it's a waste materials, right? So it can become, it can be in the form of liquid, solid, gas. It can be hazardous, it can be non-hazardous, it can be also biological waste as well. Okay, so and of course there are some common, like industrial waste. We have solid waste, as I have mentioned earlier. So it could be in the context of scrap metal, construction debris. It could be also something like a packaging waste, cardboard, plastic, wood used for packaging products. So all these are solid waste. Okay, and it could be also in the form of hazardous waste. Okay, especially later on we will be talking about specifically about COVID-19. During COVID-19, of course that is not the main focus of this conference. I think industry in the context of hospital is also an industry, right? So productions of vaccine, productions of drugs, those are also industry, which will also have implications in the context of hazardous waste as well. So hazardous waste can be in the context of chemical waste, like solvent, paint, what else? So basically other hazardous materials used in the industrial process. It could be also medical waste, as I have mentioned earlier. So waste generated in healthcare facilities, that can be also infectious as well. And it could be also in the context of electronic waste. And this is something that is quite concerning because everybody must have electronic devices. So it could be, like mobile phone, even now we have smartphone, like white goods in our house, like TV, fridge, everything. So everything needs electricity, right? So those are becoming e-waste. So discarded electronic equipment containing toxic materials like lead, mercury, and cadmium. So that can be also a big problem for our environment, especially if there is no segregations. Yeah, so if there is no, if you don't separate them. In Brisbane, you can get a penalty if you put e-waste in our green bin. So green bin is a domestic waste, like a food waste, any domestic waste, but not e-waste. So if you put e-waste in our green bin, and if they found that you put it there, then they will give you a fine. So it's a very big fine, a very big penalty as well. So it could be also in the context of liquid waste. So it could be in the context of industrial effluents or oil and grease. And this can be also quite, destructive as well if you put that into our environment. Now, this is also something that if you look at the picture that I put there, okay, so basically we dump our waste to our mother nature, which is our earth. We only have one we only have one earth. Okay, so planetary health report back in 2017 or 16, I couldn't remember. They mentioned that to be able to address human needs, we need 1.5 Earth, which is not the case, okay? Because we only have one Earth. If you look at the pictures down below, we can see that we produce a lot of productions, a lot of product for human needs. We use natural resources. We have global cheap labor. That is also another important topic to be discussed as well, because rapid productions need massive natural resources, and they need also global cheap labor as well. Consumer junk that become a waste, environmental destructions because the industry will pollute the, where they will dump their waste to the environment. That can be also a waste as well. Okay, so climate change is a most pressing issue facing humanities nowadays. Okay, so basically, just pick one example, right? So air pollutions, right? So air pollutions is the largest cause of disease and premature death in the world. So premature death, if somebody died before the life expectancy of the country. So let's say, I don't know in Indonesia, let's say in Indonesia, correct me if I'm wrong, let's say life expectancy is 75, 74. In Australia, it's 82, 83. So if somebody died before they reach 74, 75, so that is premature death. And air pollutions kill about 7 million people every year. So premature death. So you can imagine. So it's something that needs to be really, need to be addressed as soon as possible, like what happened in Indonesia, in Jakarta especially. Biodiversity loss is something that is also happening because of what we are doing, and of course, animal, plants, ecosystems are very important for human being because we are very much depending on them, basically. Okay, I did mention earlier about how we can feed 10 billion people sustainably by 2050. Okay, so that is something that we need to really think about, how we can feed our like just thinking about Indonesia, because population number is growing. Okay, like still up until today, we cannot be independent in the context of providing meat, for our populations, rice, even things like soybean, etc. Everything is imported. So that is also another problem that we should also be discussed about as well. So basically, humanity is waging war on nature. So this is a statement by the Antonio Guterres, which is the Secretary General of the United Nations. This is actually a suicidal. Okay, so this is actually bunuh diri, right? So because we cannot win if we wage war on nature. Okay, why did he say that? So basically, if you look at the plastic productions, plastic waste productions is off the chart. So you can see, so today is 2023, so that is somewhere about 400 million tons plastic every year. So somewhere here, right, so 2023, so 400 million tons plastic per year. So some scientists mentioned that it is not safe to consume salt from the oceans because we have a lot of issue from microplastic. So microplastic issues because we cannot differentiate between salt and microplastic, and those microplastic, if you consume, that can cause a very serious problem for your health. So basically, just in the context of plastic waste, okay, 5 trillion per year and 10 million per minute. So let's say I talk 20 minutes. So moderator gave me 20 minutes for me to deliver my presentation. So that equal to 10 times 20, so 200 million. By the time I finish my presentation, 200 million plastic waste are produced. Okay, so that is the amount of plastic that consumed worldwide. So you can imagine. Okay, so and it's just so crazy. If you look at this, is also domestic extractions of the natural resources. So natural resources can be in the form of biomass, fossil fuels, metal ores or non-metallic minerals. So biomass examples like crops, petroleum, like oil, right, natural gas, right. So this is actually about 23% increase between 1970 to 2000 and it's about 16% increase from 1970 to 2017. Okay, so that is like 6 years ago. We have metal ores, iron, aluminium, copper, because in Indonesia we have a number of mining that extract this metal. Okay, Indonesia is a very rich country, right? So, and we extract those iron, metal ores, non-metallic minerals. So that including sand, gravel, clay. Okay, so that is also important materials for constructions, right? So, and then we keep extract those materials, and every year we increase the number that we need to extract. So that is human. So we are actually trying to wage war on nature. Of course, we won't be able to win. During COVID-19, so this is just to give you another examples that we are, even like donkey. So I just want donkey. People said that donkey will not fall into the same hole, right? So because the donkey will learn from the mistake. So, but what we actually did, we actually repeated the same mistake again. So, which is in the context of plastic waste productions. Okay, of course, it is fundamental need. Okay, healthcare professionals, they need to wear the biohazard suit. They need to have gloves. Syringes will also contain a lot of plastic as well. So during COVID-19, so this is according to the WHO report, so 87,000 tons of personal protective equipment was produced just between March 2020 to November 2021. So just about 1 year and a half, 87 tons of PPE, okay, and they shipped to the country, different countries, because they need them, which is actually important, yes. However, can they manage the waste? So that is another question. Today, today is what day is today? So on 6th September, I just look at the report. So only 30% of healthcare facility, okay, which is 30% of health facilities are not equipped to handle existing waste loads, and 60% of this 30%. So 60% of this 30% are in the least developed countries. Okay, so hopefully we are not in least developed countries, right? So we are in the middle up countries, right? So, but some healthcare facilities in Indonesia is also not equipped to handle existing waste loads, especially during COVID-19. So this potentially also exposes health workers to needle stick injuries, pathogenic microorganisms. It also can impact the communities as well, living, in nearby the healthcare facilities, right? So, or contaminated air from burning waste, poor water quality, disease carrying pests, and etc. So a lot of implications. Have we done a study to see the implications of this, waste, massive waste productions in a very short period of time? Okay, so this is also another, maybe a challenge for Polytechnic Kesehatan. So how we can also make sure that potentially in the future there will be another pandemic, and how we can make sure that we can learn from our history. So global greenhouse gases emissions by sector, if you look at this, is the cement, chemical, petrochemical, so energy is basically the main issue. Just have to be quick. So when you look at this is carbon footprint, right? So carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide and methane, that are generated by our actions. Okay, so this is something that you need to, this is a mathematic, right? So because today is 2023, and in 2050, we are trying our best not to exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius average temperature. So today, this is, if you look at, this is the per capita CO2 emissions. So one of the largest emissions per capita is the United States. So it's about 16 tons per capita. Indonesia maybe around average, right, 4 to 5. So it's not really actually big, but because we have a lot of populations, then it becomes big as well. So basically, in 2050, we need to reduce our footprint, carbon footprint, up to 2 tons per capita. So from 16 to 2 tons is not, we cannot do that in a very short period of time because they need to reduce a lot of things, right? So I'm not going to explain this in detail because this is basically about the global temperature scenarios. This is what will happen in the future. So there are 4 different types of agenda. So current policies might 2.7, so we don't want that, right? So we have 2030 targets only. So this is national determined commitment globally, 2.4. But we actually would like to achieve this at least, right? So, and 1.5 is a Paris Agreement goal. And we are currently here 1.2 degree warming already. This is back in 2021. So what can we contribute in the context of industrial waste? Before we talk about what we can do, we need to, I would like to show you this. This is something that you can download freely. So you can go to Google and just put Global Risk Report 2023. You can see the next 2 years. So we have, these are, so this is a projection. So this is actually done by World Economic Forum. So businessmen around the world. So they discuss what will be the risks, okay? And businessmen, they always care about what will be the risks, right? So then you can see the next 2 years. So the first one will be cost of living crisis, natural disaster and extreme weather events, and etc. However, in the next 10 years, if you look at number 1 to number 4, because these are color coded, right? So the green color is environmental related. So failure to mitigate climate change, failure to climate change adaptations, natural disaster and extreme weather events. And the 4th one is biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse. And if you look at number 6, natural resources crisis and large-scale environmental damage incidents. Okay, we haven't discussed about the movement of the capitals to Kalimantan, for instance. So there will be a lot of industry as well. But this is what will happen in the next 10 years. So how can we actually prepare? So what needs to be done differently? So this is what is happening today. We have unsustainable productions. We have a loss of biodiversity, right? So we have even ocean acidifications, overfishings, industry that doesn't care about waste management and etc. So this is something that we really would like to achieve, okay? But this is basically bigger than just industrial waste management. So because we have even things like green cities and settlements, human well-being, agroecology, sustainable fisheries, marine protected areas, reef ecosystem, healthy soils, which of course industry need to be involved in this aspect as well, because industry is the main producer of air pollution, soil pollutions, water pollutions. So this is what we call by ecosystem health. Right, so climate resilient development. So industry need to be part of it as well. In the context of Indonesia, so most greenhouse gases are coming from land use change, forestry, of course, energy, agriculture, waste management, right, and industrial processes. So it is important for us to be part of that as well. So just quickly before the time is limited, because the time is so limited. So fundamental, if not radical, change is needed. So fundamental change is embodied in the principle of sustainable consumptions and productions. Okay, so we need to really change the fundamental. Okay, so the fundamental change requires to be guided by leaders who are concerned about sustainability. Okay, and the word sustainability, it has been a while, since 1987. Okay, so basically to ensure that it meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Okay, so we need to fulfill our needs, of course, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Okay. Now, sustainability leadership. So anyone who takes responsibility for understanding and acting upon complex sustainability challenge qualifies as a sustainability leaders. So it could be somebody from Polytechnic Kesehatan. Okay, it doesn't have to be the one who will win the pill press. Okay, so when we say leadership, it doesn't have to be president, doesn't have to be mayor, governor. It could be the students of the health Polytechnic. Okay, so anyone who takes responsibility for understanding and acting upon complex sustainability challenges, because everything is now complex. So the sustainability leadership, they need to concern about how to nurture, support, and sustain healthy economic, environmental, and social system. So this is a 3-piece, okay? 3-piece of triple bottom line. We call it triple bottom line. So triple bottom line has been introduced since 1994 by John Elkington. So John Elkington is a writer, especially for business. So basically, so if you look at this one here, social. So we need to think about not just money. People thinking about money, right? So even like, I don't know how many people attending this conference, we all need money. So money is our focus. However, we also need to think about social well-being and environmental well-being as well. Okay, so this is the 3P. We call it the 3P. So planet, people, profit. All right. So how the actions affects my social well-being, how the actions affects ecosystems, how the actions affects economic stability. However, this is my friend, Pak Lutfi Hamidi, who did a PhD from Griffith University, and he graduated, I think, 4 years ago. So from 3Ps, he made a novel 4Ps. So planet, people, profit, and the last one is prophetic. So this is actually new. Prophetic means, of course, everybody might have different religion, right? So, but every religion have their own prophet. Okay. So, however, in the context of Muslim, for instance, Islam, right? So, looking at from prophetic, so we look at the planet well-being, people well-being, economic well-being, and the well-being after life. So that is also need to be considered. What will happen after life? So after we die, because everything has to be, we need to be accountable, right? Because prophetic, like I believe in all religions, they have environmental aspect. But in Islam, we have conserve our resources as much as possible, practice sustainable consumptions whenever possible, plant trees as a means of good deeds, because we need to plant trees, right? Care for the animals and the rest of God's creations, keep the environment clean and safe. All right, so like we need to be considerable as well when we eat as well. We cannot eat until we feel full. Okay, so we have to eat enough, basically, so not too full. So sustainable waste management, there are at least 10 principles. Of course, we need to look at which one is the lower hanging fruits, which one is something that we can do it first. It is not possible to do this 10 things at the same time. Okay, so first of all, of course, source reductions. The most sustainable approach to waste management is to prevent waste generations at the source. Okay, so we need to reduce the source of the waste, which is the productions, right? So this can be achieved through process of optimizations, product design changes, and the implementations of efficient manufacturing practice. Recycling and reuse, I think this is quite self-explanatory, so we don't have to explain that. Waste segregation, so it's very important to proper sorting and segregate of waste streams. Okay, so hazardous, non-hazardous, organic, recyclable, and etc. So make sure they are managed appropriately. Hazardous waste management is, of course, very important. They need to be handled with extreme care. waste to energy. So if there is any waste that can be converted into energy, so that's something that we need to do. Circular economy. So in Brisbane or in Australia in general, we are now trying to push the circular economy. So basically to design product and process with the intentions of keeping materials and resources in use for as long as possible, minimize waste generations, and promoting recycling and repurposing. Okay, regulatory compliance. So this is also important. We have all this in our policy. Without regulatory compliance, that doesn't work. Okay, so industry must adhere with local, national, and international regulations. Life cycle assessment. So this is actually conducting a life cycle assessment of product to look at, so after we use this product, and then where the consumer will put this the waste. So we need to look at the life cycle of different products and see how can we reduce the waste. Public awareness is very important, and educations, because people need to be involved as well, not only the industry as only. Continuous improvement. So continuous improvement is where we need to always improve what we have planned, what we have designed, so then we can always learn from our mistake and always do better in the future. This is the era of core. Okay, so core, this is actually my own definitions, like core, we have two part, which is co and re. Okay, so co-lead, we need to lead together, collaborate, working together, co-design, working together to design how can we produce something that will minimize the waste, co-evaluate, co-implement. And this is also very important. Rethink, re-lead. Okay, so we need to rethink whether we need to produce those products. And this 7 aspect is the principle of circular economy: redesign, reduce, reuse, repair, renovate, recycle, and recover. So those are the 7 principles of the circular economy. And I think circular economy become very popular at the moment as well. I saw a lot of Indonesian PhD students doing circular economy in different businesses. So I think this is actually a good sign that hopefully we can achieve this in a very short period of time. So advantages of sustainable industrial waste. So not only environmental responsible, but often leads to cost saving as well, improve public relations and long-term business sustainability. So industry, the owner of the industry, they need to think, oh, we can actually save some costs. Okay, so because they are maybe more interested in, be part of these actions, because they can save some money. You can open this later on yourself. So this is an example of public awareness and educations in the context of Queensland. What does it mean by circular economy and how we can be part of circular economy? At Griffith University, we also try our best to be part of the circular economy. If you know that by 2032, Brisbane will be the host of Olympic Games in 2032, which is another 9 years. So we are trying our best to be zero plastic by 2032, so just before Olympic Games. So zero plastic means, it doesn't mean that we don't produce plastic, but it means that when we produce something made from plastic, so after they use this product, they will become something else. Okay, so that is basically reuse, recover, and repurpose of the product. To give you another example as well, so this is also what we are trying to do at Griffith University in September. So today is September, so we have Sustainable September, 30-day challenges. This is where average students need to be part of this, actions. So this is something that potentially you can also do this in your institutions as well. So every day they have a different type of actions, which is climate actions. This is not so much in relation to industrial waste, but we can be part of that as well, because not everybody are part of industry, right? Like for instance, we have also this, I'm not sure whether you know this about the ecosia.org. So this is a search engine. So that can be embedded into Chrome. So if you use this as a search engine, you also will contribute to plant trees as well, because they do plant trees in Indonesia as part of their project. You can read them later on, because I think the committee has got my presentation. So thank you so much for your attention. So I look forward if there is anybody who would like to clarify something, ask anything. So happy to do so. Thank you so much. I will return back the microphone to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Feby, for your very informative presentation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will open question and answer session. You can raise your hand by clicking the raise button in your Zoom, or you can also drop the questions in the chat box. We'll give you for a while.
Do you have any, maybe I'd like to ask you from Health Polytechnic, do you have any actions that you do for climate related actions at the institutions, or encourage students? Because this is something that we can collaborate in the future between Griffith University and Health Polytechnic, because I can see not everybody coming from Health Polytechnic Bengkulu, right? But we do have MOU with Minister of Health of Republic of Indonesia, and also the so this can be a policy and umbrella for us to collaborate how we can do collaborations in terms of climate actions. Because what is actually I really want to do, because after speaking in this kind of conference, we need to have something that we do have, right? So it's not just talking. So hopefully we can do something in the future that we can contribute to the environment. We can do a project, we can do community projects, we can do joint proposals writing, for instance. Hopefully we can do that in the future. We can invite other speakers as well to be part of that projects. So that is like the outcome of this international seminar. Not only that you learn from the PowerPoint or presentations, but if we can do something positively for our environment as well.
Okay, Dr. Feby, there is a question in the
yes.
chat box.
Chat box, okay.
Yes, that is from Madeline. Would you please share us what has the industry done there? Maybe in this case is in Australian context.
Oh, can you repeat again? Sorry.
Yeah. What has the industry done? Maybe in this case is the Australian context.
Australian context. I'll give you the example. There are a lot of examples. If you go to that website that I gave you, so there are a lot of examples that is provided in that website. I'll just give you a very simple example about the industry. Of course, like for instance, university is also an industry, right? So industry, we as a university, we need to be part of, we need to do climate action. So every industry, they need to have a portfolio about climate action. So we have to be part of these climate actions, because Australia is actually, let's say Australia is a clean country, pollution's clean. However, our carbon footprint is much larger than Indonesia per capita, right? Because we use energy, we use transportations, right? So we basically per capita, our carbon footprint is much more than Indonesia. So that is not good, right? So that's why we now they basically maybe in Indonesia as well. I'm not sure that this is something that will be implementable in Indonesia. with with plastic bottle, for instance. Okay, plastic bottles. Okay, so plastic bottles, if you return that plastic bottles into a collections point, you can get 10 cents. Okay, in Indonesia we have pemulung, right? We have pemulung. In here we don't have any pemulung. So here, like for instance, at home, I said to my son, you can collect these plastic bottles and then you can get 10 cents. And then every month he can get about, $10 or $9 because he can collect maybe 90 plastic bottles and etc. But that is something that we can do here to reduce plastic waste and also to make sure that we can avoid plastic waste to be put in the landfill, because that is the last thing that we want. Because plastic waste, they need to be collected separately and they can then reuse and redesign that plastic bottles. In terms of big industry, this is also Australia is a double standard as well sometimes. Yeah, so I'm not Australian, I'm Indonesian, right? They don't have big production here, so they have money, so they put the productions in the third country. So in developed countries, so in China, maybe in Indonesia as well. So the pollution is not affecting Australia, and then they can buy the product, they can get the product without polluting the environment in Australia. So that is also double standard. When they say, I would like to keep our environment clean, but they invest industry in different countries, in Vietnam, in Cambodia, in Indonesia, in China, in India, and they get the product. Okay, they get product like a garment product. Now Fiji, every garment product in Australia is coming from Fiji, for instance. So yeah, so that's actually a double standard as well. But in Indonesia, it's a different thing because we have a lot of populations. We need livelihood, right? People need something to do so that they can earn money. So in Australia, they can do that. So they don't have any big industry here. So battery industry is a lot of battery industry in Indonesia. So we can just get the clean battery from here to Australia. And then after that, they send the waste to China or to India, the e-waste, right? So that is actually not a good example. Okay, Indonesia cannot follow this bad example, but that is what we are currently doing in Australia. However, of course, in terms of the regulation is very strict, right? So industry need to really care about their waste management. So if they not only industry, but if we want to build a house, for instance, I just give you an example, right? So Indonesian community has just built a community center. If somebody come to Brisbane, I would like to show you the Indonesian Community Center. And then we need to make sure after we build this center, the quantity of rainwater that drop in that area still the same. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then we don't produce any noise pollution. So it's not just waste pollution, but noise pollution. It's like talking too loud and etc. And also water pollutions. So we have to pay a lot of consultant. So that's actually a lot of money. So for water consultant, we have to pay, waste consultant, we have to pay, noise consultant, we have to pay. So that is something that maybe in the future, we can do that in Indonesia. So before industry establish their factory, they need to do a lot of things before they can finally do their factory there.
Okay, Mr. Baby, do you still have some more time? Because I've heard that you have another activity after this.
Yes, about 8 more minutes. I
still
still have
8 more minutes,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Actually, from your explanation, you have answered at least 2 questions from the chat box. But we have another questions that what do you think should the government do to handle the industrial waste, especially in Indonesia?
In Indonesia, yes, a very good questions. That is a very tricky questions actually.
Yes.
First of all, they have to be consistent. Okay, they have to be consistent of what they put in their regulations. Okay, so nobody above the law. All right, so that's the first thing. We just have Professor Rahmat Witular, which is a former Ministry of Environment of Indonesia, and he is very vocal in terms of climate change. And he is basically quite disappointed with the current. I mean, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be politics here. However, in terms of environmental management in Indonesia, is not as he expected. Okay, because a lot of feasibility study or environmental feasibility study is not done properly. So basically, Indonesian government need to be really consistent in terms of law enforcement. So environmental, environmental sustainability has to be the focus. So it's not just profit, and especially dealing with industry, because these people, they have money. Sometimes, money can be money can be a solution, but money can be a problem as well, right? So Indonesian government need to be, because we need to lead by example. So Indonesian government need to provide an example. So maybe in this context, we don't have to, as I say, so we don't have to be really thinking about something that is too high or too far away, like, the governor, the mayor. Maybe we can start something that is very local, like from Ministry of Health, maybe from Health Polytechnic, how you segregate waste, like, just give an example. So lead by example is very important. So a community can learn how to do that. And of course, we have Pilpres next year. So choose those who concern about environment. So that is something that is very important, right? So no matter who they are, those who are concerned about environmental management. So we need to choose that person. I don't know who is that. Okay, you need to answer that yourself. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Feby, for your explanation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we end our first section, I would like to conclude the material from Mr. Feby. The first one is we have introduced the new term in it's about Anthropocene era, where we face the pollution everywhere. And then the food consumed by the people around the world become waste. Therefore, the people, the government, and also the industrial sector need to manage, especially industrial waste. And of course, it's to avoid environmental destruction. And then industrial waste cause triple planet crisis. The first one is climate change, and then pollutions everywhere, and biodiversity loss. Therefore, everyone, since leadership doesn't mean that the president doesn't have to be the governor, it means everyone. So everybody, every of us, we should realize that we have to start paying more attention to our environment. We can start from ourselves, like put rubbish based on its types, and then we can recycle, or maybe we can reuse the waste or the rubbish. Okay, Mr. Feby, we would like to present you the certificate as the speaker of this international seminar. Yes, our environmental health department, Ms. Yusmidiati, will present you the certificate.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Feby, for the presentation. Here we prepare the appreciation certificate for you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Yus. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, before we end this section, Mr. Feby would like to take some picture.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Ready? Operator ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Feby. We hope that
Thank you so much. All the best.
See you and have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned in this international seminar. We still have more agenda in here. The second section, the material will be about the new urban agenda, the guidance for sustainable industrial waste management in the next decades. I'm pretty sure that this material will be very interesting because our speaker today, our second speaker, is very expert in his field. Well, the second speaker is Professor Dr. Deden Rukmana, PhD. He currently is a professor and chairperson of the Department of Community and Regional Planning at Alabama A&M University. And he has 20 years of academic and professional leaderships. Professor Deden finished his bachelor degree in urban and regional planning in Bandung Institute of Technology, Indonesia. And then he continued his study to a master degree in development studies in the same university. And after that, he took his second master degree in planning and development studies. And the last one, he pursued his PhD degree in urban and regional planning in Florida State University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our second speaker today. And of course, we should say hello to him. Good morning, Mr. Deden Rukmana. Are you already with us?
Yes, I am been here almost an
Yeah,
hour.
how are you today?
Very good, very good. I'm honored and very pleased to be here.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you this morning, and I'm sure that you have prepared very informative material for us. Well, without to shorten our time, time is yours, screen is yours, Professor.
Thank you very, very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning. Selamat pagi for anyone who are following this from Indonesia or from Bengkulu. I'm here from Huntsville, Alabama. It's already almost 9:30 at night, but I have been doing this many times, so I'm been get used to it, to deliver lectures morning in Indonesia and night here in US. When I received the invitation from Bu Yus, I'm so delighted. I always honored and happy to share knowledge with anyone in Indonesia, in my home country. So now I share my screen and I will deliver my lecture here for about 20 or 30 minutes. So this is the title of my presentation for this morning. So I'm impressed and learning from presentation made by Dr. Feby. Many information that very much insightful and informative. And now I am presenting to you this presentation titled The New Urban Agenda, the Guidance for Sustainable Industrial Waste Management in the Next Decades. So Dr. Feby already provided some background from his expertise, which is public health, and he also provide 10 ways for sustainable industrial waste management. So I will not reiterate what he already explained to us, but now I like to give some context here. There is no way for us to accomplish something that very much relate to the issues worldwide without any effort that we are doing together. So that's why this new urban agenda is a policy agreement from members of the United Nations to address issues in the world and to shape the future which is more sustainable. And then I also like to frame this for urban areas, because I believe why we call it urban areas, because they are non-agriculture. So non-agricultures that also including manufacturing, including industry, including services. So that's why the context of sustainable industrial waste management in my presentation, I put in the urban context. So this is problems that we have here in our world. Many people facing extreme poverty. They have no access to nutritious and safe food. They have out of schools, education is very low. Air pollution. When I presented this lecture, similar to this lecture 2 months ago, I didn't expect that Jakarta will have issue with air pollution this bad. So now it's very close to our home when we're talking about air pollution, because now Jakarta already had that issues. And then many people, more than 2 billion people still lack access to drinking water. So United Nations is clearly mentioned that we cannot afford to leave anyone behind. So if we like to go for the future, we need to go together. And we have a lot of lists to do. And we have the resources to reach our goal. So that's why we are on this planet together. There is no way for Indonesia to achieve sustainable goal without any collaboration with other countries. Same thing here in the United States, as one of the advanced country in the world. They are thinking they are the best, they are most advanced, but no, there is no way the United States can go by themselves without any collaboration with other part of the world. That's why we need to work together. So this slide showing us the world population. So you will see here, the red line is world urban population, and the blue one is world rural population. So you will see here in 2007, our world urban population surpassed rural populations. And then the population in urban areas is keep increasing, while our rural population is flat or even decreasing. So you should expect that our world 10 years from now, we will have more and more people living in urban areas. That's why we need to focus also the importance of urban problems, how we solve them. That is what I can say here. The world is urbanizing. There are more people living in urban areas. There are more and larger urban areas in the world today than yesterday, and more urban areas tomorrow than today. And also there are more interconnected world. What's happening in Jakarta is also very much impact in Bengkulu, or what's happening in US also impact somewhere else in Mexico or in other part of the world. Okay. So our world is more interconnected. There is no way for us to stay alone without any impact from other part of the world. And Dr. Fabi already mentioned clearly about the climate change, the impact of carbon footprint, and so on and so forth. So now, because of these issues in the world that facing all these urban populations, United Nations in 2015, they gathered in New York, here in the US, and 193 world leaders, they adopted Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. So this is the agreement, universal call that signed by all these world leaders, all these countries, the action to improve the life of the future. So we like to build, we like to aim inclusive, sustainable, and resilient future for people and for the planet. There are three core elements in these Sustainable Development Goals: economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Okay, so this is very, very important for us to understand these three core elements. Of course, we like to have economic growth. We like people to prosper. We like to make money. And we need that. We need that because we don't want to stay poor. We like to eliminate poverty. That way we need to have economic growth. But economic growth, exploitation of resources also bring cost, bring problems. That's including environmental issues, just like Dr. Fabi mentions. So we need to have balance between economic growth and environmental protection, and also in social inclusion, because we like to have everyone prosper together. It's not just richer getting rich getting richer, poor getting poorer. I think I heard that this from Dr. Fabi too. So we like to have everyone involved when our world prospers. It's not just for people, but for all of people in the planet. So there are 17 goals of Sustainable Development Goals. These Sustainable Development Goals are interconnected. But what I'm trying to focus here, since my focus in urban areas, right? So I like to focus on SDG number 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities. And how we have this SDG number 11 relate with sustainable industrial waste management. So this Sustainable Development Goals number 11, which is to make city and human development inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So the target is, you can see here, that to ensure access to all adequate, safe, and affordable housing, transportation, safe, affordable, accessible, sustainable transportation, inclusive and sustainable urbanization, protect and safeguard world cultural, natural, and heritage. So you will see here all these 7 targets from SDG number 11. So you will see here that all these 193 world leaders, they agreed to aim our future, our world future, to meet this goal, to meet this housing need, transportation need, preserve cultural and natural heritage, and so on and so forth. Okay. So this is the goal that we like to achieve in terms of urban areas. Make cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So now, what we are facing today in urban areas, what cities facing today, what problems? So I like also to bring this perspective from the book that I edited. So the first book published in 2020, the Routledge Handbook of Planning Global South. So here I have 29 chapters with 27 megacities in the world, in Global South, including Jakarta. And the next one published just last year, 2022, so Routledge Handbook of Urban Indonesia. So you will see that my presentation also based on my work in urban areas, not just in Indonesia, but also in Global South. So first is slum. Our world is still lack of safe and healthy housing. There are many people still live in slums area. So this is also something that the world leaders try to eliminate. We like to remove or decrease some dwellers, and we provide adequate and safe housing for everyone. Air pollution. So now it's very close to our home. Air pollution is an issue, big issues. And of course, Jakarta is now, we all learn, it's become an issue. And then the issues of air pollution in Jakarta is not just from what's happening in Jakarta, but also from what's happening surrounding Jakarta. So that's why there is no issues so can be solved by that own city. They need to collaborate with other cities, and also in the national level, they cannot also solve this by themselves. They need to collaborate with other nations. Public transportations is also issues that many people, they cannot commute easily. The access is not for everyone. I'm glad that Dr. Feby mentioned about electric cars. Electric cars, of course, we can consume less fuel, but we will consume more when we do this lithium mining. So every type of energy is always, there is consequences. But what I can say here at this point, to solve transportation problems, traffic, is not to build or to use electric vehicle, but to use and build reliable and accessible public transportation. So that's the solutions. Solid waste. This is also relevant with our issues here with industrial waste management. Solid waste from domestic is grow day by day, week by week, year by year. Right? Only 55% being managed in controlled facilities. So there are still 45% of waste, solid waste globally has not been controlled with adequate facilities. Public space. So this is something that we're still lacking. In Indonesia, the law, spatial planning law, they require 30% of urban areas consist of public space. But like Jakarta only has less than 10%. And that 10% always decreasing year after year. So that's why it's become an issue. And we learned the need for public spaces increased during pandemic. So we also need to learn about that. And then that way, now many urban policy, urban planners try also to establish more urban space in their areas, public space in their areas. Okay, so how we can get together to accomplish that goal, sustainable development goal? Yes, by UN, but which UN? So UN Habitat is the focal point of United Nations that basically concern with housing and place-based concern in the world. So United Nations is an active in over 90 countries, including Indonesia. So United Nations Habitat or UN Habitat, they established back in 1970s, and then in 1976, United Nations joined the two small groups into UN Center for Human Settlement. And then in 2002, UN Center for Human Settlement evolved into UN Habitat. And that's what we called until today, right? So this UN Habitat is mandated by the UN General Assembly to promote socially and environmentally sustainable towns and cities. So that's why everything, activities within town and cities should promote sustainability, including this industrial waste management. So UN Habitat, the first one, they have conference back in 1976. The conference was in Vancouver, Canada. And then Habitat number 2, 20 years later, in 1996, held in Istanbul, Turkey. There is a declaration. At the end of that conference, we call Istanbul Declaration on Human Settlement and Habitat Agenda. And then Habitat 3, the most recent one, 20 years after the Turkish meeting, so it's held in Quito, Ecuador, in October 2016. We have a total of 167 countries, including Indonesia. And then at the end of this Habitat 3, we adopt a new urban agenda. So this is an agreement where these countries agreed how we can work together to solve issues in the world, particularly in urban areas, to achieve sustainable, safe, and resilient cities in the future. So this is the global framework and timeline of that new urban agenda from 1976 all the way to 2016, when Habitat 3, at the end of that conference, we established that new urban agenda. So this is a global agenda that was agreed upon Habitat 3 conference. And then we have 30,000 participants from over 167 countries, right? Basically to implement the new policy, new agreement on how we address issues in the world, urban areas. So the position of new urban agenda is to contribute to the localization of that SDGs. That's including the goal, SDGs number 11, to make cities more inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So how new urban agenda context in SDGs is because new urban agenda contextualize that as sustainable development goals location in the urban context. So why urban areas or cities is important? Again, in the beginning, I already said that the population is growing in urban areas. But that population only occupied only 2%. So a very small area, but the impact, the population is more than half of the world population. And in that small area, with that population, we have 70% of economic run in that areas, in the cities. 60% energy consumption in that urban areas. 70% greenhouse gas emission in that areas. 70% global waste in that areas. So that's why industrial waste management in urban frame, you will see the importance of framing this in urban context because of this intensity of waste in this very small area, but produce so much waste. So now with this new urban agenda, we have new paradigm that cities, even though there are a lot of issues, a lot of problems, but they are also a source of solutions. If we can plan, if we can shape the future of cities towards sustainable cities, toward resilient cities, inclusive cities, safe cities, we can solve everything. So that's why when our word urbanizing, more urban areas, it could also become powerful tool for sustainable development if we can manage that growth. So that's why it's important for us to see this paradigm that cities as a source of solutions. Again, I bring this up again, the new urban agenda principles, leave no one behind. Everybody work together for the future. We ensure sustainable and inclusive urban economics. We're not really interested when the rich getting richer and poor getting poorer. We like to have everyone inclusive in this development, economic development. And also we like to ensure environmental sustainability. We like to make sure that the next generation can also have access to the resources and then have also better and more sustainable world. Cities for all. New urban agenda clearly said that there is no discrimination in any kind. Everyone has same right to inhibit and produce just, safe, healthy, accessible, affordable, resilient, and sustainable cities. Cities are for all, not just for someone, not just for a group of people, but for all. So now I like to bring this slide. Why is important for sustainable industrial waste management in achieving the goals of new urban agenda? There is no way for us to achieve sustainable development goals if we do not have the same policy, the same program, the same understanding, how we build, how we shape, how we develop our cities. We need to provide access to housing, provide access to transportation, but also we need to sustain and to preserve our environmental. So that's why environmental, sustainable, industrial waste management also being play part in this regard. So the importance of this industrial waste management, we are doing this to protect land. So Dr. Webby presented to us that this waste from industrial could be liquid, could be solid, could be gas, and could be non-hazardous and could be hazardous. That's why in this industrial waste management, we need to understand that type of waste, and we are doing this industrial waste management land to preserve groundwater. You know something that I learned from Jakarta. Jakarta, many people saying Jakarta is sinking because there are many in the manufacturing industry in Jakarta or also residential area. They exploit groundwater. That's why the groundwater is dropping, sinking, and this make Jakarta vulnerable for flooding and also for other land subsidence. Industrial waste management also need to conserve surface water, the quality of surface water from river, from lake, pond. We need to preserve that quality. It's not become polluted. That's why we need to protect land, preserve groundwater, conserve surface water, and maintaining air quality. So this is something that now we learn big time here in Indonesia. When we learn Jakarta have that bad air pollution that we still experiencing until today. We need to address that. We cannot just from bad to worse. So we need to make some efforts to make Jakarta more healthy. So this is the importance of industrial waste management. So I like also to bring this to your attention that UN Habitat also work with World Health Organizations to integrating health in urban and territorial planning. So the point from this document is urban planning need to center health in their effort. The health of people, the health of planet need to be centered when we are shaping, when we are planning the future of our urban areas. And we learn a lot from the way we have this pandemic, right? And this one is World Urban Forum. So World UN Habitat also try to establish this World Urban Forum. It's not just about world leaders and their government, but also all these non-profit organizations, NGOs, universities, or concerned citizens to work together to have the understanding the need for a better and sustainable futures. So this is also something that campaigned by UN Habitat to make more people involved. It's not just about the government, but everyone involved. Okay. So this World Urban Campaign is global catalyst for change. It's become advocacy and partnership platform to raise awareness about positive urban change in order to achieve green, productive, safe, healthy, inclusive, and well-planned cities. And then this is my last slide. So we are making progress. We are attempting to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030. It's 7 years to go. It's not easy, but we need to work harder. That's why solid waste management, industrial waste management is something that we need to discuss. We need to assess. We need to pay attention because they're also part for in this sustainable goal. And that new urban agenda could be a framing for achieving that goal. So we need to act now to accelerate sustainable development goal implementation in cities and communities to realize the new urban agenda. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, for your very informative material. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll open discussion and answer session. Unfortunately, we just have 10 minutes. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand or drop your questions in the chat box. Is there any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dede Ramadi. Dede Rukmana, I'm sorry. My question to Mr. Dede Rukmana, what are sense of rich three core element at USA to Indonesia? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bu Sri Mulya.
Sri Mulyati.
Bu Sri Mulyati, thank you very much for your question, but I don't really get the three core in US. Can you repeat the question, please?
What are sense of rich three core element to USA at Indonesia?
The three core element of
USA to Indonesian, what are?
Okay, so this is my understanding about your question. So you are asking what are the three core elements that we discussed in this presentation from New Urban Agenda to Indonesia, right? So let me share again my slide just to make sure we are on the same page. So I'll just go this. This one, right, Bu Sri Mulyati?
Yes.
Economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection, correct? So this is, I would say, the most challenging one. How we can balance between economic growth and environmental protection. In US, in United States, we have two major political parties, Democratic parties and Republican parties. So their approach among balancing these two are also different. So Republican parties, they prefer more economic growth and less regulation for environmental protection. In the meantime, on the other hand, Democratic Party then Republican Party. So they are need to balance on this, and political party also play important role in playing this out. So go to Indonesia. Of course, Indonesia is different with US in terms of political condition. There is no polarization like here in the US between Democratic and Republican parties, right? Indonesia is multi-parties, but what I can see here is we also need to pay attention. If we already see our economic growth is in a good shape, but when they come to destroy or reduce quality of environmental protection, environmental situation, such as like in Jakarta. So now Jakarta has issues. We know Jakarta now has some good economic condition, but when we learn there is some issues with air pollution. So that's why now we need to reduce that growth. We need to pay more attention to economic protection, but because there is no way for us to have high economic growth without healthy environment. So that's why back to this, balancing between these three is important. At one point, when we are still trying to grow, of course, we pay attention more to economic growth, but when there is come to that environmental issues, we need also to balance with environmental protection. So back to the topic of this conference about industrial waste management. So of course, industrial waste management need also become our concern when the pollution, the polluted materials is just outside the benchmark. And then at one point, we need to pay more attention to that industrial pollution when the impact on environmental is so high. So balancing this is very, very key point. That's why we are having this conference.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor, for your explanation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before ending our second section, I would like to give some conclusions from the material entitled The New Urban Agenda, the guidance for sustainable industrial waste management in the next decades. So, ladies and gentlemen, the problem faced by the urban area are, the first one is slum dwellers, like we can see in Jakarta, for example. And then the second one is the air pollution, like we feel nowadays. Not only in Jakarta, even in Bengkulu city, we also feel the pollution is everywhere. And then the third one is the public transportation. It is expected that the government can build reliable and accessible public transportation for the people, especially in the urban area. And then the last one is public space, like more open space in the public places. Well, these issues should be addressed not only by the government, but also by us. Just like what United Nations slogans, we are on this planet together, So let's work together. Well, Professor Deden, before we end this section, we would like to give you certificate of appreciation. The certificate will be delivered from our head of environmental health, Miss Yusmidiarti. Ma'am Yus. Hello, Ma'am Yus. Are you with us?
Kenapa ini nggak buka? Okay. Thank you, Prof. Deden, for the presentation. Here we prefer the appreciation certificate for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Yus. Thank you for all committee for the invitation. I appreciate this. And then hopefully my lecture will have impact. And of course, I will always open for any collaboration in the future. It remind me what I did in 2019 when I have this lecture with Kemendikbud Ristek at that time. We have 3 universities combined together at that time, 2019, Bengkulu, South Sumatra, and Lampung. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so
Thank you,
much, Professor Deden, for your contribution in this international seminar. We do hope that we can meet offline one day in the future. Okay. See
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we still have 2 more sessions with our speakers. Well, the next session will be with Associate Professor GSTS Dr. Sharifah Nur Khadijah Syed Ismail. Sorry about that. Our third speaker is a lecturer in Master Skill College of Nursing of Health and Health Sciences from 2006 and 2007. And then she currently senior lecturer in the Department of Environmental and Occupational Health, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, University Putra Malaysia from 2011 until nowadays. About academic qualification, Professor Sharifah got her master degree in environmental management in UPM in 2006 and pursued her PhD in environmental science in UEA, Norwich, UK in 2011. Let's say hi to our third speaker. Good morning. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for invitation.
You're welcome. You are very, very young, and I'm pretty sure you're a very talented professor. Yeah, we can't wait to hear the presentation that will be delivered in short time. Okay, Professor. I think time is yours. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Let me share my screen before I start. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. All right, so let us start. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the introductions. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, adik-adik ya, selamat siang, Assalamualaikum, very good morning to everyone. It is very great pleasure that I stand before you in this significant event around the theme that we have today, which is Sustainable Industrial Waste Management towards environmental friendly products. Yeah, I would like to congratulate the organizer of the success to organize this event, and also to spending so much effort to provide the platform to discuss these topics in details. Yeah, and I also like to thank the organizer of having me in these programs to share a bit of information about the topic from the perspective of Malaysia. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I start my presentations, I would like to introduce myself as has been highlighted by Madam Chair just now. I'm currently a lecturer in Departments of Environmental and Occupational Health, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, University Putra Malaysia. So our university is located near to Putrajaya. It's like 45 minutes driving from Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, so this is the picture of my university and also my faculty. My research is mainly on waste management and how waste management impacts the environment as well as to the human. Yeah, so I would like to welcome everyone here today, my fellow friends, adik-adik, to our gorgeous Green University in Malaysia. So where you have so much interesting things to explore. Okay. All right, so dear delegates, so we are here today to discuss a topic of utmost significance. So the symbiotic relationships between waste management and product developments and its role in shaping ecological conscious industrial landscapes. Yeah. So as you know, our world faces pressing environmental challenge, yeah, from overflowing waste in the landfill to depleting natural resources and many more pollutions. However, within these challenges, it lies an opportunity for innovations, creativity, and sustainable progress through the developments of environmental friendly products. So therefore, in this session, we will discuss on how waste can be reimagined as a valuable resources, yeah? How it can be recycled, how can it be reused again and again, and how sustainable product development can lead to a more harmonious coexistence between the industries as well as the environment. Yeah, so I will start the discussions with the highlights on why ecological conscious industrial landscapes is important, and also we will continue on how waste can be the sources for an eco-friendly product, and as well as the involvements of technology and commitment towards the shifting. And lastly, we will look at the solutions on how the waste management can be part of this process. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, so what is meant by ecological conscious industrial landscapes? Yeah. So in recent years, we have witnessed a growing awareness of the environmental challenge that confront our industrial landscapes. Yeah, so the detrimental effects, we have lots of effects from the rampant industrial revolutions, starting from the 18th centuries towards the 19th centuries, marked a profound shift in human history. So it was characterized by transitions from agriculture-based economy towards the mechanized or industrial economy one. Yeah. So while this period brought about unprecedented economic growth, it also brings a significant challenge or environmental consequences, such as we have so many destructions because of the deforestations, water pollutions, biodiversity loss, and many more. Yeah. And as a result, there is now a growing emphasis on a sustainable industrial practice where renewable energy sources has become the focus, eco-friendly technology and products has been the focus to mitigate and also rectify the environmental impacts of industrializations. Yeah. So what is meant by actually ecological conscious industrial landscapes? So an ecological conscious industrial landscape refers to an industry's setting or businesses or manufacturing processes which operate with a high awareness on to consider the impacts of the environments, yeah, from their activity. So they are now taking steps to reduce their negative effects from their process on the environment while prioritizing on the sustainable and environmental friendly practice. For example, reducing carbon emissions, go for waste separations, reuse some of their products for the resources, and many more. So we have these 6 characteristics of ecological conscious industry. The first one will be industries that are looking more to resource efficiency, where the industries aim to maximize the usage of their resources. So there will be no wastage anymore. So they are looking forward for zero waste programs or zero waste approach. The second one is the industries are actively take responsibility for the environmental consequences of their operations. So they are trying to minimize the impacts to the environment. And the manufacturers start to design and produce products with minimal carbon footprint. And also companies consider the waste managements where the industries have robust waste managements in place. Yeah, and also they are looking at the companies consider the environmental impacts of their entire supply chain, from the productions, from selections of the raw materials, productions, fabrications, until they produce the products and they use and dispose it. Yeah, and last but not least, the use of innovative technology to reduce the environmental impact. Okay. And we start to having questions of why is it so important for us to take this effort? Yeah, so it is because the impact of industrial activities on the environment cannot be ignored anymore. Yeah, so there are pressing needs to align the industry's activity with the ecological values to ensure a sustainable future. For example, in this slide, it shows you some of the research that has been done where 50% of the marine litter is come from the single-use plastic that we use. For example, we use straw, yeah, water bottles, plastic bags, and many more of the plastic products. So imagine if we can replace this product with an eco-friendly products, it will minimize the pollutions to the environment. Okay, how robust the industrial revolutions impact the environment? So this is a few examples that we can highlight. The first one is industrial process produced primary pollutants. So what is meant by these primary pollutants? So these primary pollutants is directly emitted to the environment from the gases, from the combustions of fossil fuel, for example, the power plant, for example, the automobiles that we have produce gases and many more that can have immediate impacts or effects to human health as well as the environment. And the second one is we have these secondary pollutants, which is not directly emitted, but they are formed in the atmosphere or water through a complex chemical interactions. It involves with the primary pollutants and also other substances. Yeah, so these reactions are often triggered by the factors of sunlight. Yeah, by the factors of atmospheric conditions, and it also produces, at the end of the day, it produces, for example, acid rainfall, acid rain, ground level ozone, and all of this is contributes towards global warming, and at the end of the day, it affects our health. Yeah, so there are a few diseases that related to that. And our activity, like industrial activity, is also process or produce these greenhouse gases. For example, carbon dioxide, yeah, methane, and also nitrous dioxide into the atmosphere. So what happened is these gases will increase the surface temperature and cause global warming. So global warming affecting the climates and triggered uncontrolled natural disaster, such as flood, landslide, yeah, heat wave. For example, in Malaysia, we have flooding every year. We have flash floods, even though in Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya. When I was a kid, we have maybe in heavy rainfall in October towards December. But nowadays, we are unable to predict because every month it's like we are receiving very heavy rainfall. So this will become a problem because we cannot predict the risk. We are unable to cater the risk so that it will also affect the human. The rainfall patterns also will affect the disease, for example, the vector-borne disease, which is, for example, dengue. It caused from the mosquito bearing, yeah, so that we are unable to predict. So how many mosquitoes will be produced when you have different types of climates or different types of weather, okay? And again, the plastic products that we use, such as water bottles or toys for our kids, for our children, also contain toxic chemical, which is, for example, BPA and phthalates that has significantly reported link to various kind of disease such as cancer as well as hormone disruptor. Okay, so therefore, looking at waste generation, resource depletions, and ecological degradations have become all too evident, and these challenges demand our immediate attentions and collective actions to foster ecological conscious industrial landscape through product development. So as an industry, what is our role? So we have to start to shift towards sustainability, where we have to rethink of our products from our product cycles and practice and adopt strategies to minimize the impact to the environment. Taking plastic example as an example, so we have to plan on how to minimize the impact to the ecosystem, starting from the extractions of the raw materials towards the production, fabrication, the usage, until it's the ends of the life of the plastics. And also how waste management contribute to this shifting. So waste management contribute to this shifting is by providing a systematic management in every single of the waste stream process. You start from the collection, for example, we can use technology like the Internet of Things, or IoT, that can be applied so that we can have efficient collection system. We can gather the data, the types and the characteristic of the waste, so that we can plan for the recycling or material recovery process, that these waste can be resources again, okay? And then the transportations, where we can use GPS system to track down all the waste, and we can determine how fast or how long it can reach the factory, for example. So this is how the waste management can contribute to the product developments. And in recent years, there has been a shift in how we think about our economy. Instead of the traditional take, make, and dispose, we use resources, we create product, and then we throw them away as waste. And now we are moving towards something that we call as circular economy. Okay, so think of it like a circle where products and materials are used, reused, and recycled rather than being thrown away. So in the circular economy, we aim to use fewer resources and product for as long as possible. So this meaning that we have to design a product that lasts longer and finding ways to reuse things instead of buying a new one. So the shift towards circular economy is about being smarter with how we use and reuse our resources and create less waste, saving money, as well as protecting the environment. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, now we are looking at the final parts of my presentation. So we come forward to the solutions. So this slide shows you some of the example of successful synergy between the waste management and the product development. So where we can now easily find lots of industries that has come to idea of repurpose or refurbish the old products. For example, they repurpose the old fabric into a new fashion trending, for example. So there are a few brands you can find out from Google, and also refurbish the old furniture to be something like vintage and interesting products. And this also the examples of eco-friendly packaging. So where various types of degradable packagings has been developed that is not just function as a good product packaging, but also conserve the environment. For example, we have this plant-based packaging materials made from bamboo, from mushrooms, and then we also have this returnable, reusable packagings, which means that after they deliver products to you, then you can return the box to them so that it can be reused again and again by the company. And also there are, for example, toys that are using the box to be like a dollhouse or a play toy for the kids. So it's something like a very nice idea. And we also have this packaging pay-per-use packaging for cosmetic. As we know, ladies and cosmetic cannot be separate. We cannot be isolated from cosmetic. So we have lots of products nowadays that use paper-based packaging to store our cosmetic items, which is quite nice and environmental friendly. And also we have a few more examples on eco-friendly plastics. So according to research has been done, plastic cannot be degraded. It takes like maybe 500 years to degrade. So now they are looking forward to produce plastic that can be able to degrade by time. So for example, we have these bioplastics. It may come from plant-based resources. However, it cannot be recycled or it cannot be composted. It's similar with these compostable plastics. It's very similar to biodegradable plastic, but if you use it in a very huge quantity, then the challenge to manage them is quite huge. And then we have this biodegradable plastics. It is a plastic that can be broken down into carbon dioxide and water. And also it does not, it's not really degrade properly, but of course in future we can improve the products. And also because of the pandemic, for example, the recent pandemic that we have, plastic has grown. The numbers of usage of face masks, for example, has been growing so much. But it all created problems to our environment. So we have to think of maybe potential to recycle of our disposable masks, for example, or maybe produce plant-based masks or herb-based masks, for example, so that it can be degraded by time. Okay, and another thing that we have example is open loop recycling and also closed loop recycling. This is mainly applied by the industries on how they can maximize the usage of their resources. So what will be the outcome and the challenges of the shifting towards the ecological conscious industrial landscape? Of course, it will reduce the environmental impacts. It will help us to minimize the burden of the environment. The resource efficiency will be good, whereby we can reuse our product again and again, so that we will not using virgin tree, for example, to produce paper, but we reuse paper to produce another paper. So something like we are minimizing the usage of virgin product instead of to produce our own products that we want. And we also will have economic advantage, like I mentioned just now. We are moving towards circular economy, so it will give more impacts to the economy. And the challenges, of course, we have challenges in terms of the technology, in terms of the innovations process that we need. Of course, it needs lots of money, and collaborations is also some challenges. We have to find industries, countries who are really looking forward towards the shiftings, whether they really have this idea, whether they are looking forward to move to this idea and things like that. So of course, we are looking for more collaborations. And in order to incorporate this idea, we need some holistic approach in the industry or organizations. So the organizations need to be, or the industries itself need to be ready to shift their practice, to shift the culture in their company, in their organizations, so that they can embrace the goals to be some kinds of ecological conscious industry. And looking at future landscapes, so it is a growing momentum, actually. The industry is going to more ecological conscious industries, because there is driven by consumers' demand, where the consumers now is looking for a product that is less hazardous to the environment. So they want to contribute to reduce the burden to the environment, so that they will buy products that is more eco-friendly and helping the environment to reduce the impact. So when we have lots of consumers' demand, then of course it will be growing momentums it will shift the culture of the industries from the current practice towards the new practice. Yeah, and also it has innovation potentials, looking for the new technology, new innovations in the product developments. And it is very important if we have to have a clear policy and master plan. Like in Malaysia, we do have a industrial master plan, and then we include the aims to reduce the carbon footprint, to go for environmental sustainability and things like that in the policy and also master plan. This is very important because it highlights how serious we are, how serious the government to help to protect the environment or to help the industries to move forward to be this industrial ecology industry. So this is need to be highlighted in some of better policies as well as plan. Yeah. Okay, as a conclusion, so I hope I have bring some of the information to all of you. So we have discussed just now the importance why we need to shift towards this ecological conscious industrial landscape. So we have highlighted about the impacts of our industries to the environment, how this can impact our health and global warming and things like that. And then we also has discussed about how waste can be helping and to be to make sure that this shifting or this idea can be developed or established. And then we also have looked at a few of the example successful synergy between the waste management and the eco-friendly products. So I hope that everyone gets something from this talk. And before I leave the presentations, I would like to leave all of you with these native proverbs. So we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children. So therefore we have to give it back our environments in a better way, or at least a very good stage to our children. That's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Sharifah, for your very outstanding presentations in our international seminar. We hope you can stay with us until the end of this section, because at the end of this section, we will present you the certificate. Okay, but before that, I would like to briefly conclude the material from Professor Sharifah about why is ecological consciousness important for us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the impact of industrial activities can't be ignored. Therefore, especially the government and also us have to pay more attention to this issue, since it contributes to the global warming. And then regarding the waste management, we can start by recycling and then repurposing and also reusing the waste materials. To reduce the plastics, we can start doing groceries, maybe by bringing our own eco-friendly products. Is that right, Professor? Okay. Thank you so much, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to our last session. Our fourth speaker is very well known in our institution in Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. His name is Mr. Agus Widada, SKM MKes. Mr. Agus Widada graduated from FKM Undip and then continued his master degree of health in health affairs in UGM University, Indonesia. He currently is a lecturer in environmental health department in Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Let's say hi to Mr. Agus Widada. Mr. Agus, how are you today? Hello, Mr. Agus, are you with us? Hello, Mr. Agus, are you ready to give your presentation? Mr. Agus, do you have any connection problem, maybe? Hello?
Okay, thank you, Arspot Spector. Thank you very much, moderator, Mrs. Ka.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, this morning to discussion about the waste and material and the health facility. Okay, please to share the presentation. The committee share the presentation. Okay, thank you very much. The discussions in the mornings, medical waste management and healthcare facilities. Why medical waste management makes to carry out properly? Because the hazardous and toxic material waste produced of hospital and health facilities can cause health protection problem and are the race population and environmental. Considering the benefits of as negative impact of hazardous and toxic material waste produced, the handling of hazardous and toxic material waste must be carried out properly. Starting from container states, transportation states, the temperature states, until processing states. Next. Regulation to manage the waste management in health facilities, several of law and regulation from to manage and protection from the law of number 32, article 67 paragraph. Everyone to produce hazardous and toxic material waste is obligated to manage the hazardous toxic material waste produced. Management regulated waste management from the termination to disposal, infectious clinical waste, expired pharmaceutical, and classified as hazardous waste category 1. Regulation from Minister Health Regulation number 27 concerning guidelines for infection prevention control in health service facilities, regulating the technical application of health facility to carry out infection prevention and control, one of which to sort from medical waste. To identification of types of hazardous and toxic material waste, candidates are to practice in hospital and health facilities includes use material, experimentation, pharmaceutical, use oil filter, and other, and develop fluids, paint containers, use chemical container, use cartridge, and X-ray. The law of hospital, paragraph 1, hospital infrastructure may include one of waste management installation. Minister of Environment and Forestry concerning procedure and technical requirement for hazardous waste management from health facility, regulated the technical matters regarding storage, transportation, processing, burial, and landfilling of hazardous and toxic material waste at health facility. The regulated technical implementation of the hazardous and waste material toxic, including as solid waste, hazardous waste, liquid waste, and gas waste. To the hazardous and toxic material waste processing of the liquid waste, implementation of liquid waste, separating liquid waste in effort to handling liquid waste consisting distribution and processing and estimation of liquid waste to reduce of the risk of health and environmental problem by liquid waste. The hazardous and toxic material waste process it to following condition: processing of the hazard and toxic material waste in the hospital can be carried out internal or external. The standard of environment regulation regulated health service facility includes community health center or health service clinics and hospital. Regulated hazardous and toxic material waste includes waste infection characteristic, sharp, particle, expired chemical, or remaining packaging, radioactive, pharmaceutical, cytotoxic, medical equipment, and contain heavy metal, gas, and pressure container. Okay. Hospital regulation, several regulation to manage the waste of facility health, consisting constitution number 44, concerning hospital ethical 11 paragraph. Waste management in hospital is carried out covering the management of solid, liquid, infection gaseous material, toxic chemical, particle, radioactive, and treatment respiratory. Okay. Regulation of Health Minister number 2 year 2019 concerning hospital environment health, storage of waste, medical waste, and the categories of infectious pathologies and sharp may be stored in the temporary storage with the temperature lower or equal 0 degree 4 to 90 days, and medical waste in the category of infectious pathological and sharp stored in the temporary storage and the temperature 3 to 8 degrees Celsius up to 7 days. Okay. Regulation of the Minister Health concerning hospital environment, implementation of hospital environment health is water, gas, and food infrastructure. It is also to according of the quality of essential baku mutu. The types of the toxic material waste generated hospital include the medical waste. To identification of the types of hazardous and toxic material is carried out by identification is carried out by internal health work unit involving the waste generating unit hospital. Hazardous and toxic material waste identified includes types of waste, characteristic, source, volumes, products, methods of container, method of filtration, and method of storage, and method processing. The result of the identification and relation to documented. Hazardous and material toxics is waste identification, to reduction, container transportation, storage, and processing, and liquid waste distribution of installation treatment of this monitoring expense and quality standard of liquid waste according of regulation in Minister of Environment and Foresting. And I guess, gas waste monitoring, reporting, standard management, and provision facility. To the implementation of gas waste security. Waste gas security is involved to handling gas waste activity which consists of fixing, maintaining, repairing appropriate gas emission based hospital utilities in checking waste gas to reduce the risk of health and environment problem costs. In order to manage of the particular waste, the hospital must be meet the following condition. Fulfill complaint with the frequency of sampling for inspection, in-house emission, and outside ambient air in accordance with applicable regulation. The quality of exhaust emission, in particular from semis, must meet air quality standard in according with provision of the law and regulation concerning emission gas quality standard from immobile source. Fulfill compliant with the reporting of the test results of laboratory measuring of gas of waste gas to government gas according to regulation at least once a year. Is gas emission shot in the from to the chimney, such as generator, set building, equipment, emission test facility, and of the implementation of liquid security, implementation of the electricity security liquid with effort to handle liquid waste consisting of distribution, processing, exposition of liquid waste to reduce the risk of health and environment problem caused by liquid waste. Regulation of Public Health Center, Minister of Health Regulation number 7875, concerning Public Health Center Appendix Page, Health Center Regulation Agreement, environment health management for another clean water. Mass public health center specially facility provide environment health management between management of hazardous and material toxics, waste such to solid and air waste, which is infectious, as well as monitoring of gas or from generator emission. Disposable of the infection, non-infection must be carried out integrated container facility, storage facility, transport facility, and processing facility. Okay. Definition, categories, and impacts of waste facility waste. Okay. Consists of understanding of waste facilities, waste resulting from human activity and facility of the facility consists as liquid, solid, and gas. Codes contain potential microorganisms and toxic hazards. Okay. Healthcare waste, consists of gas, liquid, and solid. Consists of hazardous and material toxics from the solid generated from activities of hospital facilities and kitchen, office, garden, and research of any technologies, hazard material toxics, medical, from infectious waste, pathology waste, sharp waste, paramedical waste, cytotoxic waste, chemical waste, radioactive waste, container waste, pressure and waste with the heavy metal contents. And the gas always are the gases from originating from burning activity on the hospital, incinerator, kitchen, generator, and many other. And the request from the VSS healthcare facility and radioactive from the radiation makes dangerous to health. Okay. Next. Category as waste and health facility, sharp, the symbol, sharp, pathologist, infectious, chemistry, pharmacy, cytotoxic, heavy metal, and the radioactive. The symbol is symbol of international symbol of hazards and health facility. Next. Why must manage health facilities medical phase? Why? Hazardous and toxic material with produced of physical and health facility cause many problems for health and environment. Consists of hazardous material toxics, consists of microorganisms pathogen, and makes the risk of disease and to pollute the environment. To manage of the hazardous and toxic material, which is to products of health facilities, makes a handling out properly from the contained states of the states. Why the regulation of the states? Why those transportation? Why to the temporary storage until to the processing states. Hazard and impact to medical waste, chemical waste, plastic, heavy waste via operation, skin, mucous, membrane, breathing, digestion, acute or chronic intoxication, poisoning, injury. Infection pathogens, material sharp, so the countries abscession, mucous membrane, breathing, inhalation, gastrointestinal infection, respiratory tract infection, AIDS, hepatitis A, hepatitis B and C, IS infection, genital infection, and injury. And genotoxic waste throughout the inhalation of dust of aeration, skin absorption, accidentally, shallow contact with the patient body fluids and secretion, carcinogenic, mutagen, skin irritation, gastrointestinal, and irritation. Okay. Impact of health facilities waste is not to manage properly. Human health problem, bacterial, viruses, chemical compound, disinfection, metals such as mercury, chromium, chrome, and cadmium originating from the several department. Genetic and reproductive disorder, pesticide, and radioactive material. Cause of cross-infection become to medium from speed of the disease, creating microorganisms, thus the process of cross-infection either from patient to patient, from patient to worker, or from officer to patient. damage to properly caused by the soft salt, corrosive rust, and contact of muddy waterways and reduce the quality of breathing around the hospital. Next. Disturbance of the image of the plant, animal due to nitro compound, acid, base, and strong salt, chemical disinfection, certain nutrient, metal, and phosphorus. Economic loss, but for operational and maintenance financing, such as the need for compensation cost for the environment pollution, and people whose health and disturbed due to the environmental pollution. Disturbance to comfort and aesthetic from sediment, solvent, phenolics odors, fecal odor, urine, and taste of organic chemical. Okay. Health facility waste management. Types of health facility waste based on their character. Sharp wash 1%, chemical and pharmaceutical waste 3%, infectious and pathological waste 15%, broken thermometer and tube 1%, and domestic waste is 60%. Okay. Types and character of health solid waste. Solid waste, result of activity consisting of infection waste, pathological waste, sharp waste, pharmaceutical waste, cytotoxic waste, chemical waste, radioactive waste, pressure container waste, waste with high heavy metal content, result from non-medical activities, which are commonly called household type of waste in organic and unorganic. Okay. Toxic and hazardous waste management. Why to manage of the toxics of the hazardous waste management? Hazardous and toxic management waste processing with of the following condition. Yes, processing of hazardous and toxic material waste in hospital can be carried out internal or external. Yeah, internal or external. Processing internal is carried out in the hospital environment using an incinerator or hazardous and toxic material waste processing equipment provided by the hospital itself on site, or to external processing to carry it in the corporation with recession hazardous and toxic material waste and processing landfill, processing of hazardous and toxic material waste internally and externally is carried in the according of the profession law and regulation. Health facility is hospital, public health, service, clinics, how to integration of the hazardous and material waste, how to do identification and material waste, and process is identification of types of hazardous and toxic material waste is carried out by identification, is carried out by environment health work unit involved and vascularizing auto protect to produce unit in the hospital. Hazardous and toxic material waste identified include types of waste, characteristic, source, volume, product they produce, methods of container, methods of operation, and processing. And identification areas consists of infective from microbial, toxin, essay on explode, can to process with the incinerator, outclass, and sanitary repair, or to MOU of the external provider. Okay. How to manage our health facility was health facility has to manage material of taxes, to manage flow of processing. Processing once is minimizing to decrease of the material hazardous and toxic. Sorting container, transporting to storage and processing. Okay. Medical waste management flow. Reducing, sorting, container storing, collecting, and way to process by to internal or external can be used from facility of health, from clinic, from hospital, and the other. Okay. Okay, to reduction of the material, avoids using material that contain hazardous and toxic material. If there are other options, carry out good governance, good housekeeping of any material or material that have a potential of cause health problem and or population to the environment. Segregate as streams of according to type, group, and characteristic of waste. Carry out good governance in procurement chemical and pharmaceutical ingredient to avoid accumulation and expiration. Perform preventive and periodic maintenance of equipment or according to the schedule. Example for reduction for the material of the thermometer mercury, changed by the digital sphygmometer. Sphygmometer change the digital sphygmometer to avoid of the material heavy material. Example as the mercury, yes, to change to the digital equipment. Okay. Storing, sorting, and storage. Sorting is carried out starting from the source of the waste producer. In a source room suitable for the waste product space. Container are named according to the category group of waste and a given plastic. The color is yellow, human animal anatomic waste, and spermidocide, chemical waste, the red waste from topping plastic, water, waste on white, waste sharp, including the metal, blue, glass, and black non-infection domestic waste. Sharing can be provided in the safety box and the place where the procedure is carried out. After injection, the syringe is immediately to put into the safety box without closing it again. Syringe can also to use the needle cutter or needle destroyer to separate the syringe from the syringe. Okay. Next, example of medicinal waste container. Infection of the container looks in the okay, and transportation, internal transportation, minimum waste collected delay or as required after the waste is taken from sort waste to transport before it is full. It is not recommended to compact process with collecting waste to avoid the risk of step. External transportation. Transportation is carried out by license of transportation. The transportation carry out the waste generator can use 3 wheels vehicle accordingly application provision. Temporary storage, must have two permits from the governor or the districts. The temporary shelter building that meets the requirement must be according with degree of head of Bapedalda or procedures of technical requirement on storage and collection hazardous and toxic waste. Storage time 2 days at a temperature greater than 0 degrees Celsius. 90 days at the temperature required or the less of 0 degrees Celsius and 2 days at the temperature of 3 to 8 degrees of the regulation of Minister Health number 7 2019. Okay. Next. Water needs attention to hazardous and toxic material waste, procedure and cooperation with three parties. Once compliance with recommendation and permit for transportation for collecting vehicle for the waste to be transported. Bipartite cooperation between hazardous waste transportation and processor. Environment insurance for carriers and hazardous and toxic material waste. Procedure of operational standards for emergency response of transporter, hazardous and toxic material waste spill, traffic accident, collection permit, third party cooperation, healthcare facilities, transportation and hazardous and toxic material waste processor, with procedure for producer, processor, and transporter. Confirmation of destruction, environmental monitor, and processing SSL. Okay. The next is conclusion. Okay, conclusion.
Hello, Mr. Agus. You still with us? Hello, Mr. Agus. Huh? Okay, maybe there is a trouble with the connection. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give a brief conclusion from the material given by Mr. Agus about medical waste management in healthcare facilities. Well, Mr. Agus has provided us some regulations to manage the healthcare facilities. For instance, the infectious materials can be stored in particular temperatures to avoid contamination. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before end our section today in this international seminar, we would like to present the certificate for our speakers. Okay, the certificate will be delivered by Ma'am Yusmidiarti, firstly for Professor Sharifah. Professor Sharifah, are you still with her?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Yes, okay. Well, for Ma'am Yusmidiarti, the screen is yours to present, yes, the certificate.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sharifah, for the presentation. Here we prepare the appreciation certificate for you.
Thank you, Bu Yus. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Professor Sharifah, if you don't mind, we would like to take a picture with you and with Ma'am Yus. Well, operator ready? 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, Professor Sharifah. We really appreciate your presentation today, and hopefully we can meet in the future. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and all participants, the next agenda will be delivering the certificate from Ma'am Yusmidiarti as Head of Environmental Health Department to Mr. Agus Widada as our last speaker. Mr. Agus, are you still with us? Okay. For Ma'am Yusmidiarti, please deliver the certificate.
For the presentation, have the appreciation certificate for you.
Okay. Is Mr. Agus still with us? Oh, I think there is an internet connection trouble with Mr. Agus, but don't worry about that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to end our discussion today. Thank you very much for your attentions. I am as the moderator. If I've made a mistakes, I would like to apologize, and especially I would like to say thanks and big appreciations to all the speakers today in this international seminar entitled Sustainable Industrial Waste Management Towards Environmentally Friendly Products. Well, back to our MC today. Thank you so much and have a good day. See you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vilia, for the outstanding performance in leading the presentation sections. And also, thank you so much indeed. Thank you very much indeed to all speakers who share us the useful materials regarding to our topic today. Before we close this event, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we kindly appreciate if you can mute the microphone because we haven't finished yet. Thank you. So before we close this event, our committee already sent the podcast link on the chat box of Zoom meeting and also on chat box in YouTube. So please answer the questions for the podcast in 3 minutes. Thank you. If you have any problems for answering the questions, please mention us in chat box. And also, ladies and gentlemen, beside the posters, the committee already sent the evaluations form for you to give us a feedback about the seminar. So we appreciate if you can answer, you can fulfill the evaluations form. Thank you.
Selamat datang di Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Jurusan Kesehatan Lingkungan Politeknik Kementerian Kesehatan Bengkulu hadir untuk menjawab tantangan kebutuhan masyarakat terhadap bidang ahli kesehatan lingkungan yang saat ini terus berkembang. Hal ini menjadi tantangan tersendiri bagi jurusan kesehatan lingkungan untuk menghasilkan tenaga sanitarian yang mandiri, kompetitif, dan unggul dalam pemantauan dan pengelolaan limbah cair industri tingkat nasional.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the posters, the link will be open in 1 minute.
Berdiri pada tahun 2009 yang merupakan satu dari 5 jurusan yang ada di Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu, jurusan Kesehatan Lingkungan memiliki misi menyelenggarakan pembelajaran yang bermutu melalui sistem pendidikan terpadu sesuai dengan standar mutu. Menyelenggarakan penelitian kesehatan lingkungan yang inovatif dengan memanfaatkan kearifan lokal. Menyelenggarakan pengabdian kepada masyarakat melalui kerjasama kemitraan yang berdampak pada kesehatan.
On YouTube, please. Okay, the attendance link will be sent by the committee on the chat box of the meeting and also in YouTube. So, as a master of ceremony, hopefully the seminar will enhance the knowledge to all of us here. And also, as a master of ceremony, personally, I want to say thanks to all of you for the attendance and attention during this international seminar held by Environmental Health Department that collaborating with WIPEC of Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. So let us close this event by saying Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Before this, the committee please send the attendance link on the chat box, please, right now. Because we want to close the Zoom meeting, so please share us the attendance link right now. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, who's still in this Zoom meeting, again, the committee will take a screenshot for us. So we hope that you can open the virtual windows because we will take a screenshot of you. Now we have 17 slides here. So we'll start in the first slide. The committee, please be ready for taking screenshot. In 3, 2, 1. First slide, smile. The second slide, please smile. The first slide, the fourth slide, fifth slide, the next slide, the next slide, the next slide, the next slide. Okay, next slide. Next slide again, committee. The 12th slide, the 13 slides, 14 slides, 15 slides, 16 slides, and the last slides. But today we have 409 number of participants here. And also I'll close this event with Pantun. Saturday night cruising around the city. Then we look around with a car. Thank you so much for this pleasant opportunity. See you on the next seminar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kelintang bebu hujan angin, rebahnya jahil kumandang. Mari kita pergi bersama. Kini